All right, this is a video, basically the last thing the world needs, which is another review of the Sony a6400, because let's be honest, nobody cares. What I mean by that is nobody cares what kind of camera you shoot your vlogs with, or really videos in general. It doesn't matter. All they really care about is, can you tell an interesting story? And that is a little bit of my gap and my frustration, even with myself and my own channel that is here, is, am I just wasting everyone's time by talking about camera and gear all of the time? Because you can get caught up thinking about this camera being that camera better than, like, it doesn't matter. I think maybe the best example of this was, I used to work in an electronics store where we sold TVs. And you would think that TV salespeople would have the best TVs, but they always had the worst TVs that were like 25 years old, because what would happen is they would think about buying a TV, but then they would hear about the next TV that was coming out. And so they would wait for that TV that had these amazing specs. But when it finally came to market to buy that TV, they heard about the next TV, and that TV had all the features. And then so they wouldn't buy this one, and they would wait for that one. And then that one would come, and guess what? There's always another TV. So let me just say this, because I'm going to talk about the camera, because I like cameras, and I like talking about them. It doesn't matter, and if the reason that you are not creating videos right now is because you don't have a good enough camera, that's not true. Like, that is a lie. You're lying to yourself. You're just afraid. Okay? That's 99.9% of you. I'm going to say 100%, because everybody else will give them the excuse, oh, I'm the 0.01%. You're afraid. And I don't care whether you have a Nokia cell phone. Like, Vine, people got famous off Vine of 6-second crappy cell phone videos because they were interesting. Okay? So take that excuse and put it away. And if you're waiting for the right camera, stop it. Stop it right now. This review will simply be for the people who are already creating a ton and they're finding serious limitations in their camera that is actually like slowing them down and stopping them from being able to do what they want to do. And they want to know, is it worth it for me to upgrade to the a6400 to make my workflow faster, not so I can make great videos with the a6400 because I can't do that with whatever I have now? Bogus, okay? You could buy a Canon T2i from 9 years ago and make great quality videos if you know what you're doing. And it's more about the story anyway. Like, the tech stuff, it really matters so much less than we give it credit for. Okay? That was a long-winded rant to begin, but this channel's just going to become a lot more honest. But do I have an a6400? No, I don't have an a6400. Why? Because Sony doesn't give me cameras. In fact, the only camera manufacturer I had was Panasonic. Used to send me cameras, and then I made this video about how I hate vlogging with the GH5, which I do. I haven't tried the new firmware update, but still, the autofocus, I hate it. It's an amazing tool for so many other things. They won't talk to me now. I've sent 2 different people emails. They won't even return it. So I've given up on that. But I did have an a6500, and I used it extensively, and seeing even just the little bits of reviews of the a6400, I feel plenty confident to talk about what it's good at and what it's not good at. And there's really, I think, the 5 main categories of what makes a great vlogging camera. And so let's just kind of go through those. Autofocus. Does the a6400 autofocus well? Absolutely. A6500 was great, and this one's supposed to be way faster, so you don't have to worry about autofocus. That's the problem with Panasonics, and shooting with Panasonic here, it's a manual focus because autofocus is not their specialty. But Sony autofocus, it's great. It's maybe not quite as smooth as this, but it's a little more customizable. Autofocus is going to be great. Does it have a microphone input jack? Yes, it has a microphone input jack. There's a little bit of a caveat with that, which we'll talk about the next one, which is, does it have a selfie screen? The whole reason I got rid of Sony was because it was killing me not having a selfie screen, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about Canon is they've got the flip-out selfie screen, so you can see yourself. The problem with the a6400 is it has this new flip-out touchscreen in some capacity. I don't think it's still like a full touchscreen, but you can do focus points. You can do enough on it, I think, to be helpful. But you can see yourself. The problem is if you want to have a microphone on top of your camera, it's in the way of the selfie screen. Now, there's people with like lots of solutions, like Dave Altizer from Kinotika, wonderful friend. He had this really cool solution where it was like, zip tied to the side and it looked nice. But the only gap with that is, especially where I live, I need the foamy windscreeny thing or else the wind noise is really too bad where I live. Now, what's interesting about the a6400 is they've moved the mic jacks or the microphones on the built-in mic from the top to the front of the camera. So when you're in selfie mode, like vlogging, it sounds really good. Like really, really good. Except when the wind gets in there, it still kind of ruins it, which is too bad. And there's no way to fix that for onboard microphones. Also, if you happen to use something like the Sigma 16mm f1.4, the autofocus on that would be so noisy that the in-body microphones would not work. Like they would just get overloaded with focus noise. So in that case, you're probably going to need the microphone. It may not be. My a6500, it wasn't bad on, and my a5100, it was horrible on that Sigma lens. So you could see that. So does it have a selfie screen? Yes. But if you want to use an external microphone, you're going to have to jerry-rig some kind of solution. Okay? What else does a vlogging camera need? In-body image stabilization, does it have that? No, it doesn't. A6500 has it. A6400 doesn't have it. Now, that's not a problem if you're going to use something like the Sony 10 to 18mm f4, which is a beautiful, great vlogging lens. I love it a ton, except it's expensive. Like, I think it's almost $1,000. It's over $1,000 Canadian. I don't know, US, probably like $800. Maybe it's a little bit less now. A lot of money. The Sigma 16mm f1.4 is cinematic and beautiful for vlogging, but it won't be stabilized at all. So you kind of need to be careful with that. 4K. I like the idea of vlogging in 4K, but I think it matters less than it ever has, in the sense of I love watching, like Becky and Chris. They vlog in 4K. Looks amazing, looks beautiful. But the reason that I like watching them is because their stories are awesome. So it still comes back to story. But can you vlog in 4K? Yes. But the rolling shutter on this camera, meaning like the lines that get crooked when you move quickly, or if you move the camera at all, especially it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, you get this like weird jello warping effect. This is a lazy video. Go watch Lewis's Fun for Lewis. Go watch his review video, and you see when he's on the beach and he starts panning around, you'll see like the lines just go from like straight to like, whoa. I'm not going to steal and put in this video because, yeah, this is a quick thoughts video, but just, I mean, do your own research if you want. The rolling shutter's bad, so you're really not going to be able to vlog in 4K unless you're okay with that, which actually kind of steals all of the sharpness of 4K anytime that camera's moving at all. And even for me, when I vlogged with the a6500, which had in-body image stabilization, plus the image stabilization in the 10 to 18mm, in 4K, I was recently watching some footage and went, oh, that looks like it's kind of a mess. 1080p, it will be absolutely fine. So, you know, just vlog in 1080p. Does that have 4K? Yeah. So 4K is a nice tool because you can use it for other things or for B-roll or something where you can actually stabilize it, put a gimbal on it, you know, like actually take care of 4K footage. It will be awesome. But just for like whipping it around on the camera, 4K, tread carefully. It does do 120 frames per second in 1080p. I love that on my Sony a6500. Especially when you put the autofocus in like the fast mode, Sigma 18 to 35mm. I loved it. So it has that going for it. So I think that's, you know, mostly it. Sony colors, the color science probably a little bit better. It still uses the old batteries, so the battery life will be terrible. Although I've heard with the new processor, it looks like it can record a little bit longer before it overheats if you're shooting like 4K or 120 frames per second. So that is good. The thing I never actually thought to check, so it's a useless review, is the screen brighter? Because the a6500 screen was fine if you were in regular 1080p, but if you turned on 4K or you turned on 120 frames per second, the screen would go so dim it became completely unusable outdoors. Somebody comment below, is the screen better? You're watching this, you know, you've seen like 16 other reviews and you're just waiting to pull the trigger on it. So, all that being said, would I buy it if I had a blank slate and I needed a vlogging camera? No, I don't know. I just think like for the money, because for me, a vlogging setup is the body and an ultra wide angle lens. So you could get that plus the 10 to 18mm Sony for about $2,000 taxes in US dollars. Meanwhile, you could get a Canon M50 with the 11 to 22mm for about $1,000 taxes in, half the price. What does the a6400 give you over top of that? Well, the screen setup on the M50 is better because it comes out sideways, so the microphone can go on top. You don't have to jerry-rig anything. It has, way less of a crop factor in 4K, which could be nice, but for vlogging, I just don't know how much you're going to be using that. The M50's 4K looks awesome if you can back the camera far enough up because of the crazy crop factor. Neither of them have in-body stabilization. The Sony might have some kind of digital one. The M50 does, and it's okay. It's fine. That lens is technically f4 constant, 10-18, which is nice. But the other one is image stabilized f4 to 5.6. I think the M50, for half the price, you could get a gimbal. You could get a Sigma 18 to 35 with the adapter. You get a good chunk extra. So if you're already in Sony, and I had a 6500, would I rather vlog with 6400? Yeah, because I think the selfie's going to be worth it. I just need to figure out the microphone. And at $2,000, you're still, this is the EOS R, and it's still the best vlogging rig if you're okay with the weight and the cost. My opinion. I'm happy with Sony. I will say with this, I'm happy that Sony checked a number of the boxes that they hadn't checked before. Things we were waiting for. We were waiting for a selfie screen. Good, thank you for doing that. I think the processor's better, but we're still seeing that rolly shutter stuff. But yeah, I'm happy with the selfie screen. The colors are probably better. They didn't give us the new battery, but I still think that there's going to be a Sony a7000. Seems like on the rumors, like a higher-end crop sensor camera. That one I'm sure will have in-body image stabilization, do 4K 60 frames per second instead of this one just does 24 or 30 like the normal one. So it'll do 4K 60. Might do an even slower slow motion like 180 or 240 frames per second. I think the rolling shutter on that one might be better, but I don't know. The thing is, I don't think that camera is going to give us a flip up or a flip out screen. I think it's going to go back to just a tilty screen. Because they're going to be like, it's for professionals. Professionals don't need a selfie screen, which is dumb. And it'll give a headphone jack, because the a6400 doesn't have a headphone jack. So, yeah. Anyway, there were some more things that they did with this camera that moved it closer. But, yeah, I don't know. We're not quite there yet. Anyway, please, just find whatever you have to shoot with and go make videos. That's my thoughts on the a6400, I guess. Sure.